everybody. It's the end of July, and I know many of you are back at it. And today is Tuesday, and it's just after 2 o'clock here on the West Coast. And you know it must be time for SPAC Chat. So SPAC Chat has been growing and evolving as we've taken this program that started during the COVID period and really expanded it. As you know, we still have Tech Tuesday, which is the second Tuesday of the month, and that is hosted by Matt. And on the fourth Tuesday of the month, it is OPP, Original Portrait Photographers with the Rack Brothers. That is always a blast to hear old stories back in the day when they'd have to hoist huge cameras with large film format into their cars to go to schools. It's always a great time to listen to some of the legends, and they still have really good advice on business. But what I want to bring to your attention right now is our first Tuesday of the month. We are calling it the Community Mic. It's where every voice has a seat at the table. Again, this started in COVID when we would just get on a Zoom call, broadcast it to some of our social medias, and we were just talking about like, oh my God, what are you doing? Schools are closed. Where are you getting masks? What kind of equipment do we need to buy now for sanitation? It was just an open forum where people could get on, ask a question, toss ideas, share some news. So we're bringing it back for the first Tuesday of the month. And folks, there is a way to sign up so that way you can pick your month that you want to be on. And if you have anything to share, you can tell us that too. And that also is going to be a link. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat in a few minutes here. And when you see that, go ahead and screenshot it. I'll leave it up for a second. That is the Google link to go ahead and sign up for whatever month you want to be a part of the Community Mic. And I welcome all of you to join us at some point over the next few months. Okay, enough with me and some of my announcements, although I'll be back with some more. Let me bring on our host, Calvin Harrell.
Well, good afternoon. Is my video going to show or not? Hello.
I don't see you, Calvin. I hear you, but I don't see you.
I don't know what the heck is going on there, but
Oh, and now he's gone completely. Okay, well, that happens, right? We got to roll with it. So anyways, I want to welcome everybody to SPAC Chat Live. And today we are going to be discussing something I know many of you are in the midst of doing or have just done. And that is interviewing, hiring, and training your team. So we've got a couple resident SPAC attendees here. You know their faces. I'm going to bring them up to the table right now, and then we'll go ahead and start with Carl. Hang on, I'm going to bring everybody to the table. I got Victoria, I've got Carl, I've got Nick, and well, Calvin's here, but he's that black box right now and not participating. So as we know, and I'm going to put a poll up a little bit later, many of you, depending on where you are, your season has perhaps already started. I know on the West Coast, a lot of people already have full cameras out right now. And on the East Coast, some of you guys wait until Labor Day. Calvin, are you here? Can you talk now?
I am here, but I don't know. I see me, but I don't know if you see me.
I see you now, Calvin.
I can see you, Calvin. I just can't hear anyone other than you.
Oh, you can't hear anybody, Nick, except me?
Well, can somebody else talk?
What's up?
Nope, got no Corey.
Hey.
Got no Victoria. No Victoria.
Hi, Victoria.
No Carl.
Hello,
I'm
Mr.
here.
Carl. I haven't seen you in quite a while. It is so good to see you.
It is
and
great
welcome
to be back.
the first edition of a new iteration of the SPAC Chat. We continue to evolve as we do as an organization, as this industry continues to evolve. And so Corey gave a great intro relative to what this process is going to be about. It's talking about what are the things that are impacting us on a day-to-day basis, how we prep for the new seasons, and getting information from a variety of people that sign up and join the discussion so that we can answer questions. And if those of you that are watching us live, kick in your questions through your various channels, get your questions in here, and we will try to address those questions with answers that make sense and continue to drive profitability and efficiency. So who is the first on the line, Corey, that we're going to talk to?
Well, you can't do anything without, first of all, putting out some outreach to look for hiring and interviewing. So that's Carl.
All right, Mr.
Awesome.
Carl, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Hey,
and I'm right in the middle of the hiring stages, so it's exciting.
Well, I want you to share with the audience who you are and where you're from and what company you're with, what part of the country you're in, and all of that good stuff.
Sure, absolutely. So my name's Carl, and I work for Visual Image Photography. Our corporate office is in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, and we cover the Milwaukee, the Madison, and the Chicago markets. So when we were expanding our territory, I can drive around an entire loop, or I could drive from our corporate office to Amarillo, Texas. So it's a big zone that we cover. I know there's some national players that cover a bigger territory, but we are now in a regional hiring mode. Than when I started, we were much smaller. We focused on Milwaukee and bits and pieces around Chicago. It's expanded. So the way I approach hiring has also evolved.
You know, it's real interesting. There's information that many of us have heard before, but it bears repeating, and that is when you're, if you're a $100,000 player, you think a certain way. When you're a $500,000 player, you can't think like a $100,000 player. When you're $1 million player, you can't think like you're a $500,000 player. And when you're a $5 million player, you are not thinking like a $1 million player. All of it has to evolve as you grow, and you're sharing. And I only bring that analogy or that information to say, as you've grown the business, you've had to evolve the hiring process, because now you're looking for personnel to work in certain specific regions and seeing that you have enough assignments for them to keep them energized and engaged to retain them, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely changed the way we approach hiring because it's more volume-based hiring, but the basic fundamental part of hiring has not changed, and that is for a small company that needs to hire one photographer or a large company that needs to hire 50 photographers. The principle that I still adhere to is hire well so you manage little, because in the end, you are who you hire. A small company might be able to make sure that the boss or the owner is always on every job that their crew is. But as you grow, you're not able to be everywhere all at once. So you've got to really make good hiring decisions. And it scales. So the bigger you are, you can't not cut corners. You still have to make good hiring decisions, because not only is it going to affect your customers' experience with who you are as a company, but it will also have an impact on the rest of your staff if you make a bad hiring decision, because then they look to the leadership and they go, why is this person on our team? I'd rather just work alone than work with this person. So, yeah, no corner cutting on the hiring process. As you get bigger, you still got to hold the same principles.
There's a thing, and I'm certain we can look at it in our government, right? And this is not going to be a political statement, but in every organization, there's 10% of your personnel shouldn't be in the organization. Oftentimes, it takes us a long time to understand and realize that, but turnover is absolutely positive, because you continue to elevate the remaining staff, because they say, wait a minute, you know what? I have to perform in this role that I've been hired in. So yeah, it's a challenge.
Absolutely. I think
so. What do you do regarding? Go. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I say once you establish like your hiring criteria, you know the kind of candidate that's going to do well and succeed within your organization. It's making sure that you hire them and say no to all the people, even if it feels desperate. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough photographers. If you bring a bad hire on, you may lose your best employee because they're like, I don't want to work for this company, or I don't want to work because they keep bringing bad people in. It's too much of a struggle. And so The bad person may stay with you, and the good person is like, I don't want to work here anymore because I'm surrounded by incompetent employees. They may bounce. So you risk the morale of the rest of your team when you make a bad hiring decision. So what was the question you were going to
So
ask
on the
next?
technical side, even before they even get started, what are you doing relative to the background checks and other requirements that we've gotten more intense over the past decade with this sort of thing? So how are you managing and facilitating that? And do you have a recommendation for a company that is cost effective that can provide that type of service?
Yeah, absolutely. So the we do like a two-stage process. We started doing it this year, and that's really solved a lot of problems for me. First, we go through a phone screen, then every candidate still funnels through me because I want to be that final check. So I want to make sure that this could be a great candidate in our company. We send out a job offer first, and it's a conditional job offer where it's like, okay, great, we want to offer you the position, conditional offer based on your ability to pass a background check. So we want to make sure that we're compliant in that sense. And then we run a background check. And this past year, we switched payroll companies, and the company that we used for our payroll partnered with a company called Turn, Turn. And so previous to that, we've been using Checker, we used HireRight, we've used Verified First, and they're all efficient companies. They were charging us $30 a person for a basic criminal background check. Turn is integrated with our payroll company, so we pay $25 a check. And we just run basic checks that come back. Some of them take a little bit longer, but most of them come back. They're near instant. I mean, not within like a minute, but within a couple minutes to an hour, we've got a clear background check. As soon as somebody clears that, then we move forward with the rest of the hiring process by having them complete paperwork, all of the legally compliant requirements like the W-4 forms, make sure they're doing their I-9s, make sure they get their direct deposit set up. But the steps are pretty straightforward. We follow a checklist also, and I think that helps a lot, just right from even the interview process. Like, okay, it's time to post the jobs, review the ad listing we had last year. Do we want to change any of the wording? Where are we going to post the ads? And then following those steps, because it's not something we do continuously, so it's easy to forget, like, oh, I'll just remember that last year. It's like, no, let's write it down. And then every year we can continue to make those revisions and improvements so the next year becomes a little bit more efficient. We can answer questions a little bit more confidently. So the candidate has got to feel good about the decision they're making. We don't want to get stuck with somebody that feels that hires remorse. And they're like, oh no, why am I taking this job? I'm not sure if this is going to be the right job for me. And then all of a sudden they're gone. So
one of the questions that are coming in is where do you're posting jobs, or you're using the payroll company to deal with the screening, with the background checks and that sort of thing. Where do you post jobs for this type of work? Are you using public forum, or are you going through your schools specifically? How are you doing your recruiting?
Yeah, that is a great question. And the crazy thing is, over the last several years, Indeed continues to be our #1 source for candidates. But that doesn't mean I ignore all the smaller potential sources. So we're at a size where the payroll system that we use has an integrated ATS, or applicant tracking system. So I can create a listing there and it puts it out to multiple job boards, but that's not necessarily something that everybody could do. But Indeed is our #1 source. They also will post to ZipRecruiter, and when the jobs go there, they will also show up on Google Jobs. You cannot post a job directly to Google, so it scrapes the internet and it looks for all the other sources. But Indeed still is #1, then ZipRecruiter. But we keep up our social media links. We keep up with our LinkedIn postings, so we get it out there. To just kind of cast that wide net. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's like some source tracking too. So whether you're using like Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, or you're using a more advanced platform, track your sources so you know what's working and where these people are coming from. our office in downtown Cedarburg has a lot of foot traffic, especially during festival season. So we have banners with QR codes where people can scan the code and apply right from a banner hanging on our storefront. It may not work for everybody, but that location works good. In our Chicago markets, we have Senior Portrait Studios. That's just one more source where you can hang a sign and say, scan this code if you want to apply for a job. So it's really
And
casting
how's
the
the
wide net.
and how is the we look at year over year, quarter over quarter, whatever we want to call it. How is the pool of applicants now compared to what it was 3 years ago or 5 years ago? And the reason I ask that question is because we're hearing and seeing a lot of job displacement, shall we say, in various industries as a result of a variety of things that are taking place. So what is your take on the candidate quality, the candidate pool that's actually coming in? And does it appear that they will be long-term sustainable personnel, or are they simply looking for something to fill in the gaps right now?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. I'll send my therapy bill for that question to SPAC. 2020, we go back 5 years, and that was the Great Resignation, and that was a horrible time for hiring. All of the stress of trying to find candidates when everybody was just job hopping was crazy. And then the shift of, like, I'd say within the last 3 years, I've noticed a lot more people also on the spectrum where they're in like their mid to late 50s, coming in and saying, I've done a corporate job my whole life. Now I want to do something for me. So all of a sudden I've got people that are like, I want to be more creative. So I'm getting these people that have been like cubicle dwellers coming in saying, it's time to say yes to me and no to the office. And that's been an interesting shift in people coming in from that area. But yeah, this past year, I feel like I'm getting more candidates who are interested in being a photographer. And a lot of them, it's like I'm real clear and transparent. Like, this is a seasonal position. You're going to train at the end of July and you're going to work through Christmas break. If you have awesome time, we'd love to welcome you back when we get to our spring season. But we know that there's going to be some turnover because there's just not enough work throughout the whole year. So there's also commitment to the process of whoever is in charge of hiring within your company, and just recognizing that you're always going to be in a hiring mode. It's a better job market now for us than it was 5 years ago, though. That's for sure.
Okay, so it's paramount or comparable to always be selling, always be hiring, looking for people constantly. And in fact, it's not a bad idea to have a couple of cards in your pocket that actually have the QR on it that you can hand to that waitress or that wait person or whatever that you see, whoever you see out in the field in your day-to-day. It's a recruitment. Do you use employees for recruitment? Do you give bonuses to those employees?
Oh,
and then that'll be my last question, because we got other people we got to talk to. But you have always been a wealth of information.
Yeah, that is a perfect question to kind of end on. The employee referral program, or an ERP, is a great source for candidates. One, because your employees don't want to embarrass themselves by recommending a bad fit, but they also understand the job and what personality is going to thrive and succeed in your organization. So we pay a bonus to employees, and I actually have 3 people currently flagged to receive a bonus after we get through our August and September season, where they're going to get the bonus for sending people our way. And then I have an interview after SPAC chat today with another referral. So I might have 4 employee referrals, and they tend to work out really well because they're coming in prepared for the job by talking to their friends. So yeah, the employee referral program is another really good area you can leverage.
And I mean, I hope that you can share with us what type of bonus is found to be very valuable to the people that are actually receiving it.
Sure. So I think it starts first with just recognition. A lot of people are like, I'm not going to downplay, like, oh my gosh, like people are like, oh, that's $100. It's nothing. It is something. So we do offer compensation, but I think people also like the recognition and the opportunity to be like, hey, thank you so much for sending this person away. They know it's going to make their job easier. But we do give cash bonuses at the end of the season. We hire them, they stick with us, great, you get your cash bonus at the end of the year. So it's just the easy way. But we're always looking for new ways that we can improve and enhance kind of the reward and recognition programs in our company. So
outstanding.
That's, yeah.
Man,
that's really hiring in a nutshell.
Yeah,
Thank
you got a
Harrell.
whole lot. You've been able to give us a lot more than that because you've put on great seminars at our conference, and we look forward to you continuing to do that and being the strong supporter of the organization and the industry that you've always been.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a good luck at your next interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Calvin. So next
cool.
we're bringing up two people, actually. Nick Shube, which you know very well, one of our board members, as well as Victoria Shoulders. And Victoria is doing a lot of training for Nick. So she seemed to be the perfect person to bring on board here to talk about training.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello, everyone.
Everybody's got to jump on right now, huh?
Howdy.
Welcome. Nick,
Howdy.
I'm not even going to greet you.
Can anyone hear me?
I'm not. Yeah, we can hear you, Nick. Can you hear us?
I got absolutely
You can't hear
nothing.
us, Nick. I don't know sign language, but we love you, okay? All right, Vic, you are the one that's going to be here to share with us what's going on in that part of the world.
Well, as far as training goes, that's pretty much all I do. I started with CPI back when I was 17 in high school.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
I was a seasonal hire, and the district manager herself hired me. And then within 3 years, I was running that district. So it was one of those corporate positions that really excelled me very quickly because I had some amazing trainers and people supporting me.
Mm-hmm.
And so since that time, I have worked for, the Sears Portrait Studios. I've worked for Life Touch. I owned my own studio for the past 11 years. And now I have jumped on board with the shoe brand out there in California. And so to say that it's a little bit different than Tennessee is an understatement because the vibe is different across the country, no matter what state you're in. So that's one of the most important things I think I've learned working in about 10 different states, photographing and training photographers and managers and district managers over my career is that you really have to make sure that you're hiring and the candidates that work well for your market and that you're training them to fit the client base that you have. So that's pretty important, I think, to make sure that you've got the right people in the right places. And so when it comes to the actual training process, I have so much I could talk about. So condensing this down in a short period of time was kind of challenging for me to think about what do I want to talk about. And so I think what most importantly I want to talk about is actual training classes. And so for my experience, making sure that, one-off training, yes, it's great to do that, if you have the ability, but most people learn better, in my experience, in a group setting because more questions get asked, more involvement, more participation, more team building, more influence happens in a group setting. But in that group setting, you also have downfalls. Most recently, I observed a training class that had 10 photographers. And these photographers, this was what I would call a train wreck training class because it was scheduled over 3 days. They only had one camera set up for 10 photographers to train on. Preliminary paperwork hadn't been done. There was no checklist of tasks completed. There was a lot of standing around. And so you're talking about a $1,200 investment per day in the labor cost. And these kids weren't really learning much because most of them were just standing around with only one camera to play on. So making sure that you keep your training classes between, I would say for a typical trainer, a group of 4 is sufficient. If you have an expert trainer, like somebody that's been doing this since they were 17, you might could handle 6 to 8. But you definitely want to make sure that you've got these kids. I call them kids. I call everybody kids. Sorry. You get these trainees all paired up. And so having 10, you would want to have, 4 to 5 groups, not just everyone standing in a huddle trying to look over one monitor. Because that is the one thing that I've seen time and time and time again over years and years and years is that you're just not giving enough participation for everyone. I'm a basketball coach, and so my philosophy is keep a ball in everybody's hands at all times during practice. Whatever the drill is, everybody's participating. No one's standing around. And, it's really important that when you have a training plan, you actually have it laid out minute by minute. Okay, the first 15 minutes, we are going to do a tour of our brick and mortar. We're going to introduce the other staff. We're going to review company expectations, dress code, rules, regulations, get your signatures on all that, your employee competence or employee consent to consents. Provide a training document binder where they can keep the materials that they are given at appropriate times. It drives me nuts to see somebody just hand over a training guide of everything, and then you've got trainees just flipping through this book, like, no, stop that. You hand them the material as you're covering it. That way they're not looking ahead and not getting, because a lot of people have the ADD like me. So you got to make sure that we're keeping them on task per the thing that we're talking about at that moment. And then that binder needs to come back with them until their training is complete. So making sure that they always have those resources printed. That's something that you don't see a lot in small and startup businesses and these smaller volume markets, is that we don't have enough documentation, examples, samples. And that's where my corporate background has really helped me, because I understand the importance of being able to document daily what we've accomplished, where our opportunities lie. And, so once you've got all that covered, I always like to provide a checklist of the gear and how much each item cost. Because a lot of people don't realize that a little small transceiver that goes into the back of an Einstein is $100, and that Einstein is $600, and that leg is $150, and that modifier is $150. So every station I use is $12,000. And so when you're not babying my gear and you're tossing it around in your car, you're potentially going to cost me thousands of dollars. So I always go over what the cost of these items is so that they handle with care.
And that cost of the item is but a small cost, because when you get out to the next job and it's not there, somebody has to rush a part out to you, or it just snowballs far beyond the initial cost.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, and just kind of general equipment.
Nick, we can't hear you, bud. But I know what he's saying. He's saying, don't be afraid to tell when you've broken something.
Yes. Well, yeah, that one is one. But Nick, you know what, Nick? I understand we're having an audio problem. If you can go ahead, I can hear you. So tell me what you're saying, and I can give it to her, and she can run.
That's fine. Victoria knew it. We've worked together long enough that it exactly was. Don't be afraid to tell people when something breaks. An umbrella is going to break sometimes.
Be afraid to tell people when something breaks. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
There's an innate fear that they have about a piece of equipment. Now, negligence is negligence, and that can be pointed out. But stuff does break through no fault of anybody individually. I'm
going to jump out since you guys can't hear me. So yeah, it's all good.
That's terrible. All right, Nick, thanks.
All right, Victoria's got
Vicky, Vic, can you share with me? My daughter's name is Victoria. So I'm going to, so if I slip and call you Vicky or whatever, that's why. But on your training, do you do full day trainings, or do you recommend half days? Because oftentimes, you can scale up to a full day, but there's a challenge to some people because they're being inundated with a lot of information.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in the 3-hour train. Okay. I'm a firm believer in the 3-hour train. So day one, and this is if it's non-sales. Okay. So most of my training in my first 15 years was IPS. So if we're just talking straight up photography training, it's a 3-day program. It's over 9 hours. The first day may take 4 hours just because you're doing that walkthrough, the company expectations, the rules and regulations, and the hype and the vibe. But once you get into the nuts and bolts, I cover what I call the LP feds. Now, day one is the LP feds, and that is lighting, posing, framing, expressions, details, and safety. And I have a working document that I use with everyone that explains whatever our lighting setup is, main 3 light, main AKA key light, then you got your fill, you got your back, all the different lights you might use, and how and what their purpose is. And then we go into and how to set that up properly and how to see the 10 and 2 in the eyeballs and zoom in and actually look at that and show them examples. And then the second part of that is the posing. Every company has its different set of posing. No matter where I've worked, it's always been different. And so making sure that they have a visual reference that they can use that will guide them the first early days. The framing. I've worked for companies that don't allow horizontal framing and some that want everything to be a hip pose so that their software can automatically adjust that framing. I work for companies that want you to shoot the cell, get it right in camera. So you have to give them the expectation with the framing. And if you're going to be using viewfinder mask and knowing that they know how to line up the head bubbles, the acceptable expressions. And this is where I like to pass around samples of great expressions that, parents won't buy. And so, showing them what we think is a great expression and what is an acceptable expression. And the details is my most important piece. The details are what really, truly make you an average photographer to a professional photographer. Adjusting the jewelry, the watches, the clothing, the posture, making sure there's no lipstick on the teeth, And so I cannot tell you I can tell you from my own personal experience, my senior portrait, the thing that drove me to become a photographer, my clasp was showing on the front of my necklace. So to me, unbuyable. And so I put an application in at a portrait studio. And then, of course, safety is the most important piece, and we cover what is safe, what is not safe for what age groups, what can we do, what can we not do, and making sure that our photographers know that their safety is just as important. Like, we're not going to jump on a posing stool to fix a light. We're going to get a ladder, so making sure that they get, that it's so important, because if you fall and you're down for 6 weeks because you tore your ACL, we don't have anyone to replace you, which actually happened to me on day 2 of training a manager in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. So in the peak of rush Christmas season. So, making sure that people do everything they're supposed to do. And so we cover the LP feds. That usually takes about 90 minutes. And then hands-on, right then and there. Let's go. Let's get in front of a camera. Now, I'm not showing them settings. I'm not showing them how to set it up. I'm just letting them play with the camera. Hit the button. Let's pose. Let's do this. Let's follow this guide. And so that they get that excitement. If you get too technical on the first day, it can overwhelm someone. And then if you're going for more than 3 to 4 hours, it's so much information coming in at them that they can also feel overwhelmed, especially with our 19 to 25-year-old market right now, because we are seeing that is a burnout market. Nothing against 19 to 25-year-olds, but right now they have become less like we were back when we were kids. And so day 2, that's when I get real technical. That's when we go, okay, here's the setup, here's the teardown, here's how you pack it, here's how you put it in the car properly, or whatever vehicle you transport if you're on site. And so making sure that they know lights don't go in the trunk bed, okay? You don't put cameras in the trunk bed. Those go in the car with you. And so we have a rule that you dine with your laptops and your cameras and you sleep with your lights. So if the car gets pulled over and you get out of that car and you go into the Casablanca restaurant, the laptops and the cameras go with you. You don't leave those in the car. And if you're going to a hotel for that night, you're wheeling it all in, including the lights. So anything that's a high volume item that could make you more susceptible to theft and having a break-in, because it has happened to so many people I know. So we sleep with our lights and we dine with everything else. I mean, that's just one of those things that you have to teach people. They just don't know that automatically. They think it's okay to run into, a restaurant for a couple hours and leave the gear. And it's just not, it's just not.
No.
Yeah.
You, I want to say, Corey, I hope it's not too late. You can jump in here because I got another question. I got to put it. I think you would be phenomenal to give a session for SPAC. Absolutely phenomenal.
We've got some stuff in the works.
Wonderful. Okay, let me go now. On your training, do you compensate at the same rate during the training period as you do once they are, shall we say, they've graduated?
So
and the reason I ask that question is because there's through the years we've had a little bit of experience, and if you're paying the same rate, oftentimes it's like they'll come in for the training and not show up again, so you've put out even more money. And what we'll do is once they complete the training and work a month, they will get the difference between whatever training rate was and their regular rate. We'll give that to them after we've gotten a few jobs out of them anyway. So share with us what you do.
So I'm in Tennessee. The rules are a little bit different here, okay? So 2 years ago, when I hired all my new people for the season, they all got brought in at $8 an hour. $8 an hour.
I
And
went to
once,
sleep because I went to sleep. I closed
uh-huh,
my eyes and went to sleep because that's like a dream rate in California.
uh-huh,
It's
it
like
would be. Yeah. Nick,
gas is almost $6.
okay, yeah. So when I hire someone with zero experience and I'm going to be teaching them everything, they understand that they are coming in at $8 an hour. And that every time they can complete a skill, get a pay raise. That is a lot more
Okay.
work on the back end because I'm having to adjust pay rates so often. But I have found that when you take a person who has no training whatsoever and you hand them $25, and you have to teach them everything from scratch, it costs you thousands of dollars the first 3 months that
Correct.
you weren't necessarily emboldened to them. So, I had a 50-year-old retired veteran come to work for me 5 years ago, $8 an hour because he wanted to learn photography. I met him at a graduation. I snuck him into the pit so he could photograph because he was learning. And then he came to work for me and he became my crew leader. And so he ended up closing out at 28 an hour, but he came in at 8. So after 4 years, he'd banked up to 28. So every time they demonstrate a new skill that they can do something without me holding their hand, okay, it's the end of week 2 and you can do this, 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 and this. And that's why the documentation is so important, because I can say, I can't give you more money, Ryan, okay, because you still can't do week 3 training. You haven't completed any of these tasks and you don't know how to do this yet. So you can't ask me for more money until you can do these things. And then that motivates them. Okay, how do you do this, bro? Because I'm not getting my raises. And so they reach out to their fellow people to help them figure it out and get it, get that movement and that acceleration. And it builds the team because it's like everybody's trying to help everybody get better at the job. And so, yeah, I'm a firm believer in not bringing people in. I don't knock the 50-year-olds. I didn't knock him. I love him. He's like my big brother. His wife makes me casseroles. And so anyway, so he was a great guy, by the way. He just opened his own studio. I'm so proud of him.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, so that's kind of my thing. I hire people, train them, and then they open their own studios. That's kind of my thing. I really love to see
Okay.
people open their own brands. And in my market, that's kind of what I'm famous for, is helping them get started. Um,
Wonderful. No,
yeah.
but that helps. And I asked the question because so many people don't recognize or realize that you can have an expectation of a rate of compensation, but when you come in here raw, your expectation doesn't match your value, and
Exactly.
we pay based on value, not on expectations.
Correct. And I really like to watch the growth and the development and saying, hey, guess what? At the end of a really hard shoot, when they've done something exceptional, like maybe there was a
Yep.
camera issue and they fixed it without me. And I
Yep.
come in at the end and I go, okay, so tell me about the day, blah, blah, blah happened. I'm like, oh, really? So you did that? Well, you just got $1 raise. Way to go. And then they get excited because they're like, oh, I just got more money. And they go home and they tell their wife, oh, I got another pay raise, Mom. Oh, I'm doing so great.
Sure.
So they love that they are their growth. And I don't cap out my photographers. If you are if you're bomb, you're going to continue to make more money every time. You can take on more responsibility for the team. And so that's, I mean, they end up being really well paid at the end of training, because after 6 months, I mean, they're rocking and they're great and they're empowered and they're individually led and managed by themselves. They don't need mommy there holding their hand. They call me mommy sometimes. Mommy's here.
That's
Everybody tuck your
that's
shirts
how.
in. Mommy just showed up.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that can be a challenge. No, this is very valuable information. I'd really appreciate it. Corey, we got any other questions that have been brought up besides
Well,
Brian?
I'm going to bring
Brian is
everybody back down. Oh, Nick's
yeah,
having.
Brian has assured us that 50-year-olds have skills. Yes, Brian, we know. Trust me.
Okay, so Victoria, let me ask you this question.
Fire.
So you hired some people, they came to training day 1, and then all of a sudden day 2, they didn't show up. What do you do?
Pay them and
So
walk away.
I am not a text person. I do not text human beings when it comes to this job. I will call them, and if they don't answer, I'll leave a voicemail and I will say, "Hey, it's Victoria. I missed you today. Can you give me a call back?" Okay. I don't know what happened in their personal life. I don't know if they were intimidated because everyone else was so good at the job and they weren't in that group session. I don't know if they had an accident. So I'm not going to assume before I know. And so if they don't call me back, well, then I just move on. But I'm never just going to say, well, that person's out, because I don't know what could have happened. Anything could have happened. And sometimes I wasn't confident in myself and I was too embarrassed to call you and talk to you about it or whatever, and I'm glad you called me, and then it works out fine. But yeah, if they don't show up on day 2, I'm calling them. I don't text, I don't email, I call you.
Okay, and then another question is, so you primarily train for schools. Do you have a special or a different training model for sports?
Oh yeah. Sports are way more fun. So
Okay.
when it comes, okay, so there's so many different ways to do sports, and primarily I work with high schools. Okay, so I've never really been into elementaries, middle. I do some middle schools, but mostly I'm a high school photographer. I do a lot of seniors and I do a lot of sports, boutique style. And so when we train those, we make sure that they are able to not only photograph the standard posing for all of the because we do composites only. I do not go outside under any circumstance ever. It is all composite work. And so we make sure that they can do the base 4 poses for whatever gallery we're shooting that day. We modify our lighting for our sports. So based on the team, based on the school, we might be doing more dramatic lighting with the football team, but we might be doing full lighting for the volleyball team. And so the team has to know, okay, let me pull out my manual. Okay, this is my light setup for the volleyball team at this school. This is my lighting setup for the sports team. These are my 5 poses I'm going to do. And then they also have to know how to do action poses, because I'm a big believer in the action shots, and that, if you got a volleyball player and having her go up to spike it, mom's going to buy that. And so having them understand how to nail that shot and get the timing just right and where they need to be in placement, that's a variation to how they're doing the standard pose, because you will have to back those players up a little bit to get that running shot if they're a cross country player, and get them running towards the camera when using a fan to get the hair blowing. And so it's just a lot of different things that the sports, because we do it more boutique style than the standard, okay, stand here, okay, stand here, okay, stand here. They get to pick their 3 poses, they do a team pose, and then we do 3 action shots.
Got it. Okay, so great. So your photographers usually get trained in both modalities.
Everyone that works for me has to do everything. And
Okay,
so yes,
Yep.
they have to learn it all. And we do other things. We do large scale events. We do conferences. We do headshots in volume. So like the Zinc plan will hire us to come do 400 headshots. So like it just depends on what we're doing. But everyone at some point has to learn it or they don't get their next pay raise.
Hello.
got
We
it.
don't have, one of the world's, the biggest challenges for many, especially those that transition into the industry from external, where they had been working somewhere else. They got these little small narrow channels of work that they do for so long, because they have departments and this, that, and the other. We might have departments, but we have to have interchangeable players to move into every one of those departments. If we don't, we could be shut down too darn fast for whatever the reasons are. So it's really a functionality to have everybody trained, cross-trained on all processes. I'm not sure what Carl does because they got the plant and all of that. And it gets hard with photographers cross-training into production side. On the other hand, it gives photographers more stability, because that's one of the things they always need. It gives photographers the potential of more stability and having more regular work assignments when they are cross-trained.
Yeah,
Carl,
and the thing I believe in is never have a down season, okay?
yeah,
So
diversify what you're doing.
yeah, so year round, the only time we have off is about 4 weeks where we don't have clients. And that's because we can do anything. And we get booked to do anything year round. And so photographers have full-time employment year round.
Mm-hmm. I think that's critical.
Fantastic. You guys really knocked it out of the park. I know we're going to get a lot of follow-up questions, so I'll send those to you. Does anyone have, Carl, did you have any input? Did you have anything to say?
So read the Unreasonable Hospitality book, and I love the way they say that, where Vic was talking about like, okay, the ability to assume positive intent, and I feel like that's the hardest thing to do as a manager. And in the book, he restates it, and he goes, make the charitable assumption. And it's like, okay, that's great. Somebody did show up, and then the first thing shouldn't be like, you're fired, get out, or you stink,
no.
you're a horrible employee. It's like, hey, what's going on? And sometimes people can be like, hey, I had a really hard day. Training stressed me out, whatever it is. If we make that charitable assumption, we may gain more favorable standing with that employee. They're like, wow, my employer really cares about me. This isn't just another job, but they're actually listening. They know I'm going through stuff. And so, I mean, like, here's a little subtle thing that I do, but on my Google Calendar, I have a separate calendar I made called sensitive dates. And so I don't want it to be like too morbid, but I just do keep track of like things. So it's like, oh, if somebody's having a down day, I can look at my Google Calendar like, oh, that's right. Their, mom died 6 years ago on this day, or, they lost a brother on this day, things like that. Just so I want to be empathetic for people going through tough days. And in turn, I gain the respect of the employee, but then you also kind of gain that like, oh, I don't want to leave here because this is a company that actually cares about me as a person and not just a puzzle piece.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And Carl, you're good with that. It's your nature, your personality. No, it's the advice. It's invaluable as a business recommendation, but so many don't pay attention to the personal side because it's simply the numbers. We got to make the numbers. Got to make the numbers. Hire more, work faster.
Yeah. I mean,
I have a story.
Yeah.
I have a story to share. I had a girl that started with me her sophomore year of high school because I do an internship program with all my high schools. She didn't show up one day, which was uncharacteristic for her. Come to find out, her family had been evicted from their home the night before. They were homeless. And so she didn't come to work because she didn't have transportation. And so we were able to secure her transportation for the rest of the school year. We were able to find housing for their family. We were able to reach out to community resources and help the family. And that girl literally was at my house yesterday working. And so she's a senior in college now, but when she comes home, she still comes over and finds work to do, and she works remotely. So she will never leave me. No matter what she does in life, she will always stay with me because we helped her family that day.
100% understood. You're right. You're absolutely right. We in our path, in our career, with the number of contacts that we are able to make, we actually are an unbelievable resource. And the work that you put in on that's because you've developed relationships outside that you were able to make contact with to find those resources that you could assist them with. So folks, your network is your net worth. The bigger and broader your network, the more valuable you are to society. And so you have to keep that in mind, and don't think that this career is not a 9-to-5 career. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. We don't have office hours, even if we have office hours on the front door. You're gonna have to put in the time, whether it be going to external events, engaging external people unrelated to the specifics of our industry, but through the relationships that we create, we develop our resource of people, of resources that we can pass to others to assist. So, wonderful story, Vic. That would be an expectation. If you helped her out like that, if you help the family, they're going to be loyal to you without question.
I'm going to tell you,
Corey.
Hold on. I'm going to tell everybody. I got started in this industry when I was a freshman and decided I wanted to be on the yearbook because I liked to take pictures and be part of that. And that's how I met the school photographer. And he started first by, hey, we're having a Sadie Hawkins dance at the high school next door. Can you come over and help me pose people for the Sadie Hawkins dance? Sure, no problem. And then it became, hey, what are you doing this summer? Do you mind sending out guests? This is back when you used to hand write the letter and have to write the appointment day and time on, and then tri-fold it with a stamp and mail it to the student with the labels that the school gave you for addresses. And so you can move into things like that. I mean, that's kind of how I got my foot in this industry, aside from later on connecting with Calvin many years later. But it's those students who are at your school, the ones are pretty active in school activities. They're looking for a little part-time job in summer. I'm just saying it's a great way of also building up momentum for your photography business. So
100% agreed. 100% agreed.
okay, looks like we lost Victoria. Oh, she's back. I'm gonna bring her to stage to say goodbye. I just want to thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Vic. We really appreciate it. And I certainly hope that Corey, who's indicated that we're working on something, has got you lined up for the sessions that come. Carl, I hope you're ready too. I don't think you did one last year. So I hope you're ready too, because both of you bring a wealth of knowledge that can assist seasoned and new folks in creating a successful environment through the employee hiring process. So thank you, hiring and training, because Vic moved into that. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Corey, what special announcement you got coming, dear, about man, there's so much jumping off.
There's so many things going on, and I am on the verge of making some really big announcements in the next 2 weeks. But the number one question everybody is asking me is, when is early bird registrations open? So I am working feverishly right now, testing the system to make sure all the tickets are working correctly. And I am hoping you're going to see a big announcement on August 1st where early bird registration opens. Now, let me remind you all, we're in the process of putting the education together. Our Educate Advisory Group has been phenomenal on evaluating the close to 70 sessions we got submitted. So we will be working towards finalizing our education, but as normal, we won't be able to announce the sessions and the schedule until mid-September. But you've been at SPAC for the last 5-10 years in a row. You know what kind of education SPAC delivers. You know what kind of trade show we have, which is bigger this year. We're going to 62,000 square feet.
The biggest trade show in the volume industry worldwide.
It is.
Unbelievable. And our sponsors have been so good to us.
So good. We're still going to have the most amazing social events and networking events. So all of that. Plus, we feed you. So just go ahead and register now, get it out of the way, lock in the lowest price. Then you can worry in September and October when you come up for air on what sessions you want to attend and all of that. We also are going to be making a huge announcement about one of our featured pre-con tracks. All I'm going to tell you is it's something everybody has been talking about, and we found the expert in the industry, and we will be delivering a 5-hour workshop, and it is limited seats. So when you see it, you might think about it for 5 minutes, but just go ahead and make the investment, because I guarantee you're going to be blown away.
Yeah, but what is the investment, Corey, when we talk about the total investment on that?
Oh, I will announce all of the pricing and everything next week, Calvin. And we're still finalizing certain contracts, and we got to make sure we can pay the bills, because we are a nonprofit group. I always like to mention that, folks. So, but it's pretty great. I can tell you that.
All right.
Same time, hotel link for South Point will be open, so you can book your hotel room at a discounted rate. Please beware. You are going to get spam email from everybody telling you that they can get you a better hotel rate and that they can make sure that you've got everything you need for South Point. They are unauthorized dealers. Please just use the link that we provide to make sure that you are safe, you're not getting scammed, and you are getting the lowest discounted rate.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
That sure is. Next week, sign up. SPAC next week is OPP. the week after. The first Tuesday of the month is Community Mike. So I will share the link, sign up, join the Community Mike, bring us a topic, bring us a question, bring us a problem, or just brag about something really great you've done.
Sounds like a winner. All right, folks, I want to thank you for joining us. We hope that those of you that were here live got something out of it. We certainly hope that those of you that are watching from the library, along with the SPAC chats that we've been having since the year 2020, because it was during the pandemic that we got started, and we have a complete library of all of the various topics that we've had and the discussions that we've had, and there's an education there. If you take the time and you don't have to look at our faces, you just listen to it as you're driving. You'll get information. You'll hear the thought processes that people have to create successful organizations, create successful companies. So thanks for joining us. Corey, any more?
That's it, folks. See you next Tuesday.
See you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.